time witnessing Atop the Fourth Wall, be it in live form or the weekly show, well, I hope you weren't too attached to your souls. The harvest has already begun. Just letting you know, I am reading from a script, so if I stutter or slur my words, I do apologize. This will be my third Magfest, and as per usual, I like to pick a comic for the live show that fits in with what a convention, or festival in this case, is going to be about. And what do you know? There just happen to be so many video game comics out there. There's a Team Fortress 2 webcomic, the old Valiant comics for Mario or Link, or hell, the entire catalog of Sonic comics. But which should I choose from? Well, how about none of them, because I like screwing with expectations. Oh, but rest assured, our comic today does indeed have to do with video games. It also has to do with a beloved 80s franchise that continues today. Say hello to Transformers number 24. If you're not familiar with the original Generation 1 Transformers, well, most of them pretty much follow a similar pattern anyway. Two factions of robots, they change into stuff, shoot each other, hijinks ensue. And today's Transformers comic is all about the wonders of video games. And that's something we can see from this cover, which depicts some guy playing a video game that features Megatron shooting Optimus Prime, the text even saying, "Game over, Optimus Prime." Check out the graphics featured in 1987. If they can do this with 8 bits, just imagine what that new Sega console can do.
Also, he's playing with himself.
Well, there go. I'm going to continue the script anyway. Also, you may notice that the guy is playing the game utilizing 2 joysticks. The hell system works like that? Or is he controlling both of them? It's really sad when not even the computer will play against you in a fighting game. We open with a bunch of robots shooting another robot. You'd think that would be the standard opening of every Transformers comic, but these feature robots attached to what is probably the most impractical scaffolding ever. Some of these robots don't even have legs. What do they do when they're not shooting enemy robots? I can't imagine them getting up for a cup of coffee. You have been hunted down by and destroyed by the hordes of Hazak, hero. Have a nice day. The early models of the Aperture Science sentry turrets. We cut back to see, of course, that this was a video game being played by some blonde guy named Ethan and is watched by a woman named Margaret. Lost again? Yeah, and I had created such a good character too, Margaret. Formulac the Compuzoid. Formulac the Compuzoid. It's not a movie, and yet I want that movie. I'll never understand why you waste so much time here playing these meaningless computer games, Ethan Zachary. And I'll never understand why you felt the need to say his full name. Well, for one thing, you can't find any video game arcades that offer this, the Spectramax 1000, the best computer video screen in the world. Yeah, but you're only playing it in 640 by 480, dude. So it's not that much of a better quality. And sure, the Spectramax 1000 seems like the best console, but wait until they get the CD add-on for it. So anyway, she takes over for him at the computer instead of firing him for wasting company time by using their huge-ass system for playing games. It seems I'm not the only person who thinks about that, though, so as Margaret states, "You know, Ethan, Energy Futures Industries didn't build this place so you could play games all day. You were hired for data entry, and data entry is what you shall do." Anyway, they're actually working at a plant with a hydrothermocline, a theoretical device that's apparently based on real-world science of drawing energy from thermal layers in the ocean. I just like to cool out after a long day by losing myself in some fantasy role-playing, that's all. Yes, fantasy role-playing, which is why you were playing as a robot against other robots. I must have missed that World of Warcraft expansion and Mists of the Robot Apocalypse. But let's get back to what we care about. Formulac the Compuzoid. No, he is not lost, for Ethan saved him onto a floppy disk before he stopped. All I have to do is insert it back into the disk drive. Why do I have this nagging feeling that this is about to turn into the Tandy Computer Whiz Kids meet the Transformers? He loads up the game again. Hey Ethan, do you actually do any work around here? And he talks about a neat trick he can pull. I even figured out the secret password that the guy who wrote this program encoded into it. We gamesters call it a backdoor. Oh, I've been saying it wrong all these years. It's not gamers, it's gamesters. I learned that from a comic book. The back door allows him to put his character into any point in the game. That way you don't waste time starting over all the way from the beginning. Afterdeath kinda gives you a second chance at life. Ah, the true mark of a gamester, using cheat codes. Margaret makes her departure, leaving Ethan to continue playing computer games on company time. All the while this has been going on, a helicopter bearing the Decepticon logo has been flying around the place. I'd say they were interested in the energy generation, but I prefer to think this Decepticon is just a really, really pissed off Xbox Live user. We cut to the crashed Autobot ship, the Ark, where Wheeljack is removing a device from Optimus Prime's brain that, in previous issues of the comic, the Decepticons had been using to spy on the Autobots. Somehow they got the bug inside my brain and were listening to every thought I had. Oh yeah, I can just imagine how that could get awkward. Yes, Optimus Prime, I will now learn your secret plans to... Wait, why are you looking at magazines featuring cars without a chassis? Ew, what's Prime doing with his hands? Somehow, Wheeljack is able to reverse the signal and use the device to listen in on the Decepticons' plans. Which doesn't make a lick of sense, but whatever gets the plot moving. And they listen in on Megatron's plan to attack the hydrothermocline plant. That night, Megatron and one of the Decepticon subgroups, known as the Combaticons, launched their attack. We anticipated interference from fleshling guards, Megatron. Where are they? God, is everybody playing computer games at this plant? No, actually, an Optimus is there, along with an Autobot subgroup, the Protectobots, and Prime explains where the guards went. In his less conspicuous mode as a police car, Streetwise convinced the plant guards their presence was required elsewhere. Knowing the work ethic of people around here, that probably wasn't too difficult a task. Both sides face off and prepare for battle. First up, the Protectobots join together to become Defensor, because as I've said in my Power Rangers videos, the only thing cooler than a giant robot is when many giant robots join together to become an even bigger robot. Likewise, the Combaticons become Bruticus, who I just realized has an absolutely giant friggin' head because of those two, whatever the hell they are on the sides. Cannons, exhaust pipes, I don't know. Optimus and Megatron both realize that they're basically evenly matched and try to use verbal posturing to convince the other to retreat. For Optimus, he knows Megatron doesn't want to damage the hydrothermocline in a battle, and for Megatron, he knows that Optimus doesn't want innocents to be hurt in the battle. During this, Ethan has spotted the Transformers and makes a run for it. And apparently was so stupid that he ran directly into the path of Bruticus. Man, the dude must have been playing the first Super Mario Brothers all day since he forgot that he can run in the other direction! Megatron tries to threaten Ethan's life, but Optimus refuses to stand down. Megatron decides that fighting and potentially damaging the plant is worth the risk if he can kill Optimus, but Ethan says he has an idea on how to resolve this without damaging the plant. And soon enough, they're inside the building. Which was naturally built to accommodate giant robots walking around inside of it. So, what's Ethan's idea? This is Multi-World, a computer role-playing game. Normally, I play it by creating a character, recording him onto a floppy disk, and putting him into the game. But instead, I could input all of you. That's right! We're going to resolve this situation by essentially playing player versus player on an MMO. I am now envisioning Optimus Prime yelling, "No camping!" while Megatron laughs and proclaims, "Lol, noob." If you didn't hear that, he just said NT bagging. You broke me. Within the game, each of your characters will be identical to each of you. You'll each have complete control over your respective characters. So, was there like an add-on pack for this game that lets you build robots exactly like the Transformers? Even when the Transformers actually are devastating their world, companies still see their marketability. The game requires them to destroy the other side's leader, and if the Autobots win, the Decepticons leave. If the Decepticons win, they get the Hydrothermocline. Megatron agrees, but only if they up the stakes, that whoever's leader is destroyed is also killed in the real world, too. Optimus agrees to avoid risking damaging anything. Mind you, if anyone in this had any sense while they were playing the game, they'd just shoot the other side while they were distracted. But I guess honor and loyalty and bottomless stupidity, but whatever. Unfortunately, we do not get to see the glorious image of the two sides playing with giant controllers. Yeah, I know, disappointing. No, instead they have somehow wired all of their brains into the game and will be controlling the game that way. Because that makes more sense than seeing them play with giant joysticks. Ethan has been given two buttons, one to destroy Prime and the other Megatron. Again, he could just push Megatron's button and end this instantly, but whatever, time for a video game. Ethan shows them a game map. These are creatures in the game who are potential There are creatures in the game who are potential allies and enemies. Who are they, fleshling? Tell me! Megatron is demanding to know which of the NPCs in a game are his allies and which are his enemies. A video game. Wow. Once inside the game world, Optimus wants to lead the way, but the Protectobots point out that, well, if he's shot down, they're screwed, so they should be taking point. But remember, Hotspot, even though this world isn't real, we are still Autobots. We must remain true to our principles. So don't activate no clipping, okay? Just as on Earth, it is our duty to avoid harming this world and its inhabitants. Prime? They're not real. I sure hope that failure to recognize the difference between fantasy and reality doesn't end with something monumentally stupid. On the other side of things, Megatron orders the same kind of protection, but he's a dick about it because, well, he's Megatron. He stays behind while the Combaticons scout ahead. Two of the Protectobots come across a wall of vines, and one suggests blasting through them. However, the other objects. Why not? Maybe I have a hunch I have, or maybe something I saw. He's right, you know, it's probably just a texture file with indestructible walls. Better to save the ammo until you reach the boss. Instead, they lift up the vines and go under them. But in the distraction, the Combaticons attack. However, the vines start wrapping around the Combaticons who fall down. Ah, great. A random monster encounter with tentacle hentai. With the vines trapping them, the Protectobots blow the hell out of the two villainous robots. Turns out the vines are actually sapient, and they thank the Autobots for sparing their lives. Well, obviously that one Protectobot had just read a walkthrough for the game beforehand. Another two Protectobots and Combaticons fight in the land of really silly-looking gumdrop people. Some of the gumdrop people fall off the sides of their land without safety railings, and the Protectobots go down to catch them. But they're not real. Remember what Optimus Prime said. Yeah, and that would be fine if this were the real world, but for crying out loud, these are programs lacking any kind of sentience or sapience. The only reason that the gumdrop people start helping out the two is because of the morality system in the game thinks you've been a good little boy. This is not frickin' Tron here. They're not real. Anyway, the gumdrop people use some kind of smoke screen on the Decepticons. This, in turn, allows them to kick the Combaticons' asses. All right, this is the best video game I ever played. Hey, moron, you're not the one at the controls. Hey, you know what's even better than playing a video game? Watching people playing a video game. Know what's even better than that? Reading a comic book where we watch people playing a video game. Anyway, are we noticing a pattern here? Transformers fight, Autobots save innocent people save the Autobots. It happens the same way in the third encounter where they protect some potato people. Actually, I take that back. The potato people are useless, and they just win by catching the Combaticons by surprise. And so Megatron wanders out when the Combaticons don't return, and he runs into Optimus Prime. Defensor is also there, and Megatron discovers that all of his forces have been destroyed. In the real world, Megatron tries to strangle one of them. Question: do the Decepticons breathe? Why would choking one do anything to it? However, the Combaticons say that when he scouted the area, he discovered that by inputting the aforementioned cheat code, it might give him a second chance. Not sure how the hell he was able to find that out, or did the game designers actually write on a wall, type in after death and you have infinite lives? Megatron attacks Defensor, but it fails. Your fusion cannon's blast cannot penetrate my force field, Megatron, but you had your shot. Now it's my turn! Oh, I get it. The game has turn-based combat. Defensor blasts a bridge under him to kill both himself and Megatron. Seems kind of unnecessary to do that, but hey, it seems to get the job done, at least until Megatron activates the cheat code. Megatron reappears behind Optimus Prime and shoots him. I do not die easily, Optimus Prime. Damn you, Megatron! You typed in IDDQD! Yeah, see, some of you recognized it. Optimus clings to the side of a tower, but then manages to pull out a support beam for it, causing the tower to fall over. Ignoring the pain in his mangled left arm... Wait, pain? They're playing a video game! This isn't the friggin' Matrix! Anyway, as the tower topples over with Megatron, we also see a bunch more gumdrop people falling as well, and Optimus Prime somehow having pulled himself back up while they were falling. So Optimus wins, and the Protectobots tell Ethan to push the button and kill Megatron before he escapes. Optimus, however, tells him not to. I cannot accept this victory. In defeating Megatron, I caused the death of Metropipe's inhabitants, something I could never do if this battle occurred in the real world. I violated the Autobots' most cherished principle. I knowingly harmed innocents because of our conflict with the Decepticons. No! You didn't knowingly destroy them. The things were inside of a completely opaque tower. It was accidental. And even if it was intentional, guess what? You're not in the real world. Ethan could easily reset the game and they're back to life again. The circumstances were different, the tactics are different, so it's not the same thing. Each of us always has a choice. I chose to cheat. That's not what cheating is, you stupid truck! Magfest cheated. You worked completely within the rules of the damn game. Ethan Zachary, press the button on my joystick. So it's that kind of game. I am the one who lost the game. Don't any of you dare repeat that stupid meme. But yeah, Ethan presses it. Optimus blows up. Ethan, you're an idiot. Also, Optimus, I should be pissed off about this, but honestly, if you were that stupid, you probably deserved this. The Decepticons make their departure with the Hydrothermocline, and the Autobots carry Optimus Prime's body away. There you go, kids! Evil wins! Well, we're not done yet. For if you recall, Formulac the Computron was able to be saved on a disc. That's right! The mind of Optimus Prime has been saved on a floppy disk. Now earlier it appeared like he was using 5 1/4 inch floppies, but looking at this panel, it looks closer to a 3.5 incher. That means that Optimus Prime's brain is only 1.44 megabytes. Actually, considering the date of this comic, probably not even that much, only 720 kilobytes. But yeah, Ethan writes Optimus's name on the disc and stores it, not even bothering to tell the Autobots that he's got a backup of his brain. And yes, Optimus's mind on that disc is a plot point later on in the Marvel series. This is how Optimus first dies in the Transformers comics. This comic is weird. I hesitate to say it sucks because it's just so much fun and how ludicrous it is that Megatron and Optimus Prime are playing a video game to solve that dispute. If it is sucky, that's only because of the dumbass ending where Optimus thinks that NPCs are equivalent to real people. That's all I've got for this one, so thank you everybody!